they did a study where they put plants next to each other, invasive species plants, and they put blinders next to those plants. And the plants were aware that there was an enemy next to them. Can you imagine ripping the limbs off of a precious tree with an excavator, especially a tree that they're trying to save with an excavator? That's like ripping the limbs off of a human being.
What are you doing? Just imagine what it feels like when someone tells you they're going to save your childhood tree that your daddy planted, which has all these gorgeous, limbs. You would never think that they would take them off and call that saving the tree. If you have any common sense at all, you know that that is not preserving the beauty and the nature of this tree. There were two. That was where I was sit. You sit on a tree. It's the best feeling ever.
So it doesn't make me feel bad. I have to. I'll go ahead and stop and call him, and I can come here. But see this limb was on the way to. Was down.
I mean, you can't. This footage of him reaching out his arm just really displays how much this tree also had an arm. You can just feel that feeling yourself when you reach your arm out, how amazing that feels. And it feels amazing for the tree as well. She's not in the way in anything there.
Yeah, I'm gonna clear all this.
What's going here? You can build on a tree that close?
I have to bring my machine over here. I have to walk him.
Once again, they are not supposed to bring any heavy equipment, any heavy machinery in this tree save area, or even next to it. Why? Let's read an article about this, shall we? A little bit more education for everyone could never hurt. This article by Paul Hetzler, which I will link below, is called The Root of the Problem: How Heavy Equipment Can Kill Your Trees. It may not look like it now, but mud season is right around the corner. In towns and villages, spring involves returning songbirds, blooming flowers, and a birth frenzy of construction projects fresh off their winter-long gestation. But construction damage does not only apply to human landscapes. In rural areas, maple production often brings tractors into the woods during mud season, and timber harvests may continue even during the period between snowmelt and dry soil conditions. And the caption on this picture says, "Soil compaction from heavy equipment is a tree killer." And the photo is by Peter Bedker. Now, more often than not, residents and developers are on the same page in protecting mature trees from construction damage. Sadly, a great many tree preservation efforts fail in the end, but not due to lack of political will or good intentions. The issue is that brilliant engineers, architects, landscape designers, and community activists are rarely also experts in tree biology. As an example, those good folks I just mentioned would probably say it would be a problem if a forwarder or cement truck were to clip a tree as it drove by, tearing a huge divot from the trunk. An arborist would tell you differently. She or he would explain that the real problem is the massive, irreparable, fatal, but invisible harm inflicted by the heavy vehicle on its way past the tree. A glaring wound on its stem would be of no significance whatever, because that tree has been killed. It will take 3 to 7 years before it starts to realize it is dead, however. Lethal root damage shows up over time. A tree preservation plan, which focuses on guarding trunks from being hit by vehicles, is worthless. Construction damage to trees is root damage. There is no other kind. About 90% of tree roots are on the top 10 inches of soil, and 98% are in the top 18 inches. A tree's roots extend, unless there's an obstacle like a road or building, 2 to 3 times the length of its branches. This is a tree's root zone, a broad, shallow, vulnerable mass of roots. It's true that trees such as oaks and walnuts have a taproot when young, but in maturity, their root system looks like a pancake, not a carrot. Most of us have seen trees which have been uprooted by a storm, but that monster taproot has yet to be spotted. It's no coincidence that the flat root system one sees on a wind-thrown tree is referred to as a root plate. And this is why those trees absorb so much water, you all. Okay, this picture caption says 98% of a tree's root system is in the top 18 inches of soil and extend out well beyond the canopy in a root plate. Image by UC Davis. The roots absorb water, which is amazing as far as preventing flooding in a storm. To survive, roots need to get oxygen directly from soil pores. Compaction from vehicles or equipment operated within the root zone will permanently compress pores and exclude oxygen. Adding soil to the root zone to raise the grade, for instance to lay sod, has the same effect. In these cases, roots slowly suffocate, and trees will eventually show symptoms of decline. In wet soil conditions, such damage potential is far, far greater. This magnolia is kind of in a wet soil place because it's downhill from the street, and water comes down the driveway. Well, perhaps I got there just in time. Well, I mean, I wish I was there earlier, but perhaps if I came any later, then the equipment would have come close enough to really do some serious damage. Excavation or trenching activities within a root zone will sever some tree roots and probably will compact the rest. Root damage may kill a tree outright within a few years, but more commonly, there will be a prolonged decline over 5 to 10 years. Because of this time lag, oftentimes it is secondary, opportunistic agents which get the blame. It is fair to ask how street trees in little concrete pits in the sidewalk survive, because they are put there when young. They adapt to available root space. In technical parlance, they are deemed unhappy. I agree they're unhappy. When a tree with a normal root system has its roots cut or damaged to the size of a tree pit, it is termed dead. And this caption says, excavation or trenching activities within a root zone will sever some tree roots and probably will compact the rest. Photo by Peter Bedker. Okay, so finally, to preserve trees, one must take preventative action before the first vehicle or worker arrives. Work with an International Society of Arboriculture, ISA, certified arborist to cordon off root zones at least to the drip line or branch length. Even stockpiling material under a tree can cause root damage. Look at this pile of... Anyway, if driving close to trees is unavoidable, maintain wood chips at a depth of 8 to 16 inches in the traffic lanes throughout the life of the project. When excavation within the root zone is necessary, consider directional drilling, which can tunnel below roots. If that is not an option, try to cut roots cleanly, flush with the trench wall. Lay wet burlap over the root ends until it is time to backfill. If over 40% of a tree's root system is cut, it is better to remove the tree. Damage of that magnitude will lead to future instability. Mitigating damage after the fact is not as effective, but anyone dealing with that scenario must act quickly. By the time symptoms show up, it will be too late. Hire a certified arborist to loosen soil with high-pressure water or air injection. Soil injections of beneficial microbes in solution has been proven valuable. Okay, well let's get moving. Let's get him over here. I mean, you're leaving that one?
That's what I'm saying. You know, he told me just leave this one and that one. So let him come here, you know, and you call him.
Okay.
You call him and
Yeah.
you know that I can see.
From cutting down the trees, do you ever like hug them or?
You feel?
I'm trying to. You know, I feel like the tree misses the family that used to live
Oh
here.
yeah,
You feel that?
I understand what you say, and you make me feel bad because you know they'll be all right. They'll be all right. You got kids?
No.
No, you got no kids.
But I just worry about the children and their connection to the trees.
Yeah. I know. I understand because I got kids, and you know.
They love these trees that they can climb. And where are there trees they can climb? That's what I thought I was saving. I mean, can it grow back?
Yeah.
You're not going to cut it more?
No, I don't know. I don't go cut it no more. No. You know when I do this, you know when a girl get pregnant.
Yeah.
You know, get pregnant, and the baby got only almost 3-4 months. You know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and a lady, he wanna kill. You know, some ladies wanna kill their babies. You know, do it something for kill the baby and just to cut. You know.
Really?
You see the.
No, I never saw that.
You don't see that before?
No.
You know what I'm talking about? A lot of girls, a lot of ladies do. That's what they do. You know. You know.
So that's what it reminded you of?
It's better.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying. When the baby in your stomach got about 4 months, 3 months, and people, ladies, they eat pills for kill the baby. You see, they still cut the fingers a little bit and the hands. You know, it's why they show in the video. It's what I feel like right here. You know, I cut the limb. I feel like I cut.
And you felt it.
Yeah, I feel it when I.
So we're processing it together, because this is a crazy job that you have.
Yeah, but you know, I supposed to. You know, they pay me for work, so I do whatever they say. But
would you kill a baby, a human baby?
I don't know.
Isn't it weird that we?
Yeah, I know, but you know, let me keep on his phone. If you talk to him and tell him when he got time to come here, you know, and show him.
Did you do that right before I came?
Yeah.
Like if I would have been here 5 minutes earlier?
Yeah, you know.
Or if you would have just stopped for a second?
I don't want to do. I don't want to cut no more. You know what I'm saying. Yes, I cut these limbs because there was, you know, and I have to walk my machine. I don't go.
But you could have gone around it.
Oh yeah, but I have to walk more here, get more close for like this down.
Yeah, but you could have gone down the other way.
Yeah, I know what you say, but I have to clear everything. I need a clear.
So they specifically said all of her limbs are coming down. You're sure? That's disgusting. That's disgusting. Good thing those are too high. You probably would have gotten those too, huh? That's crazy, man. I mean, you could have left some of it. You didn't have to chop it off right by the tree.
I don't know if you. So you want to leave this one too, or you want to leave that one too?
It'd be nice. That's kind of like her cage of protection, you know? It's like she did that to protect herself. That's just not saving the tree.
Yeah, they say.
You don't think she has a husband?
Things
You don't
gotta
think it's Mrs.?
change. Things gotta change. I gotta go.
Oh, this is a good one too. It's like all the offshoots of war.
No one can love this magnolia tree more than me. No one can love this magnolia tree more than me. Not every story ends happily ever after. Don't let my daddy see when you come with the tractor, 'cause he planted this old magnolia tree for me.
Mario. Ya, ya. ¿El teléfono? Apúntame el teléfono, Guri. O tráeme el lápiz.
He's gonna write down the number for me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you're gonna build, what are you gonna build over here?
I'm not.
Why not?
They're building 5 townhomes, which is crazy. Maybe we can put the branch back on
I wish.
with duct tape.
See, I can. I
Can
do that
we?
for you.
Maybe it'll heal it. You think it will? I think it might.
Just tell him, see what he say.
Okay.
Tell him, see what he say, and you know.
They did a study where they put plants next to each other, invasive species plants, and they put blinders next to those plants. And the plants were aware that there was an enemy next to them. Can you imagine ripping the limbs off of a precious tree with an excavator, especially a tree that they're trying to save with an excavator? That's like ripping the limbs off of a human being. It is the equivalent of an abortion.
That's crazy. That's what the guy said. That's exactly why I hugged her too. She was traumatized. Like
Yes, absolutely.
I ran onto the property, and do you think that helped the tree emotionally that I defended her out loud?
Absolutely. She knew. She could feel your vibrations. She could feel you running on the grass to her as all the plants were screaming.
Wow.
Yep.
Thank
Traumatizing. I feel sad inside for her, and I am 500 miles away.
you. Thank you so much for your compassion.
Yeah. Where do we find this guy? Oh, he's armed. You know, imagine, even if we use something as simple as a fork and just started scratching him with the fork, how would he like that?
I mean, I think the thing is karmically, I think that they do feel this. And I think that they're in denial. I think it comes back to them with arm pain. And even when I pull Ivy and stuff,
Absolutely.
I feel arm pain the next day. It's like we have to tread lightly and communicate really clearly with all the life around us.
Yeah, maybe ask it permission. Can I take you down? You're causing me some trouble.
Yes.
And maybe she will concede.
Exactly. Talk to them first.
They can turn their plants. I watched this study scientifically. Plants can turn their emotions off. They drop the plant, repeatedly drop the plant from a height, and by the third time, that plant didn't even react anymore because it knew it was okay. It knew it was like, okay, here we go again. This human is dropping me again, but nothing's going to happen. And the first couple times it reacted, and so plants have learned abilities. Imagine just simply cooperating with them and saying, hey, I need you to let me move you. Let me take off your limbs here. And they can turn their mechanisms off.
Absolutely.
So that they don't react.
Communication is key, and there's so much communication. I mean, that it's so intricate also how they communicate with the minerals going into them, and the oxygen and the carbon dioxide, and the, through the mycelium they communicate about the water filtration. It's like they are helping us Why do we think we can just destroy them without...
If you take off all her limbs, how is she supposed to feed herself? How is she supposed to shade herself? How is she supposed to thrive? Why didn't they just... They did that. She will die on her own now, and they'll say, oh, she's dying. She wasn't no good. We should have taken her down. Look, she's dying. Well, you take all her limbs and her ability to feed herself and her ability to pull in nutrition and sunlight. How rude.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She's crying. We might have to put a ribbon around her. A prayer ribbon.
Mm-hmm. I had a yellow ribbon, and I said, please mark this all off before you make another mistake. And
how rude.
Because the plan said to not go near her.
Well, and the worst thing is a mature plant is pretty used to human beings and animals coming by it, and even equipment and cars. It has adapted. But then when all of a sudden one, without warning or communication, starts ripping their arms off, can you imagine the shock?
Yes.
Anyways.
I couldn't feel her. Like, when I hugged her emotionally, like, she was shocked. I couldn't feel her emotions like I usually do. And, like, it took a minute, and it finally, I felt how sad she was.
Pained and shocked.
And she's right by the busy street. It's like she needed all that protection because she's right by the busy street. They don't get it.
They don't get it.
I just think it affects the beauty, too.
Absolutely.
Okay, Mama.
But it affects her functionality.
Yeah.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but on a functionality, if you were to take all the leaves off of a plant and then say, okay, I trimmed you, that plant would not be able to synthesize the sun. It would not be able to grow.
Yeah, there's been a couple of times when I've trimmed plants and I learned my lesson. They went into shock and they didn't survive.
She may not survive.
Dang.
Anyways, well, I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, Aviva. It's sad that many just don't get it.
Well, thanks so much for sharing your 2 cents with the world so that they hear someone else's voice besides mine.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, thank you. Shout out to Patrick for your comment on part 1. I do hope the little bit of empathy that I gave her was therapeutic, and I think if we continue to send some good energy the tree's way, it will be therapeutic as well. I think definitely what Willow said about now having fear of these machines that she can no longer trust is a trauma that is wired in her, in a sense. I think daily love and hugs can help, perhaps, as a therapy. And just talking to the tree, telling the tree how amazing she or he is, how appreciated she or he is, and sharing and connecting. Relationship is real therapy. Thank you so much for watching. Please stay tuned for part 3, accountability, where we will do our best to have conversations with the powers that be to make sure that this tree is okay. So if you appreciate this content, please do subscribe, like, comment, and all that jazz. Before I go, I'm just going to add a little bit more processing about this whole human experience that we're in and this just conundrum of development. I can't help but compare our general disregard to a 70-year-old tree and its pragmatic needs to our general disconnect from our 70-year-old neighbors whose roots get run over by modern waves. They might feel suffocated by that compaction, like they can't breathe. Maybe we need to make more effort to listen to what is important to them about their connection to nature and what they've learned from and with nature throughout their life. How they may have grown their own food, how they connected with life in general before making any rash decisions. Getting an elder's blessing is an interwoven practice in many indigenous cultures. And I can see how it also psychologically prepares people for change and holds respect and makes space for their emotional processing of it. And it reminds me of what Willow said about literally talking to the trees we may feel we need to cut down and getting their permission. This is not just kind, but wise. For that tree might be giving us life in ways we cannot imagine, and just taking a moment, a stillness, can give us answers we would have otherwise not had. And admitting we don't know it all is also part of the advancement of humankind. Nothing is as black and white as money transactions and who owns what. We live in an interconnected garden on many levels, and every choice we make has consequences that come back to us full circle. As I dance with my boomer friends to their old 33 vinyls, I feel a bliss, perhaps even a sacredness that I just don't feel from Spotify. Is our general outlook on advancement designed to leave behind old ways? Or even devalue them? I think this is one example of cognitive dissonance and disconnect in our culture. Not everything new is better. How can we as a culture take more responsibility towards our elder neighbors who have lost their roots, their parents, their jobs? How can we help them connect to their needs through their emotional pain and help them maintain what they have instead of buying them out? In addition, if an elder neighbor loses their simple way of life to advanced technologies, is that like cutting off their lower limbs and damaging their roots? I mean, think about how hard it is to ask for help when you're 20, or 30, or 40, or 50. Imagine doing it, i.e. not doing it, when you are 70. And is social media taking all the attention of our youth that would be otherwise given to our elder friends and their stories? I mean, who else is going to put on some John Denver and share heartfelt music and dance? I have a feeling that wouldn't be Alexa's or Siri's first choice. And who knows, maybe through good listening and witnessing these emotional realities, the youth can find a deeper connection to their own emotions and thus a more meaningful connection to their world. The question is, how are you today going to use your voice?